Hello, I'm Art of Pixel Pen, and this is the first video podcast of ABXY. In my last audio podcast, I mentioned doing a week-long special discussing components of games and finding games that illustrate what it takes to be great. In this week, I will be discussing storytelling and overall presentation. Games need a story to give meaning as to why you're playing, but it can be tricky to pace a story, making sure gamers uncover bits of pieces of information at the right times, as to not give away the whole plot, but keep the intrigue so players keep progressing through the stages of the game. That is where developer 2K's BioShock excels. BioShock pulls gamers into the dark realm of Rapture deep below the ocean depths and leaves them to uncover the mystery of what is this place and what the hell is wrong with it. BioShock is the product of a well-crafted story, the kind of story that gets so big it becomes a world. I'm not saying that BioShock will change your life or make you want to do volunteer work for crazy people like the inhabitants of Rapture, but the story makes a great sci-fi story that has many film noir undertones. The dark, dank rooms of Rapture hold secrets to the characters that live there, and the chaos that preceded your arrival. Every item in Rapture gives detail to push the story, not just idle objects showing off the game's lighting effects. Masks from the New Year's Eve party hang on desks. Bottles of booze can be found in many rooms and bars, showing a strange obsession with liquor. Personal audio diaries are used as a creative way to keep the action moving, but unraveling the story layer by layer.
If you can reach them in Neptune's bounty, then maybe, just maybe. I know you must feel like the unluckiest man in the world right now, but you're the only hope I'll ever see my wife and child again. Go to Neptune's bounty, find my family, please.
While the small details of Rapture help flesh out the story, it is the audio diaries that give depth to character. There are few games where emotion is so heavily tied in without it feeling forced. BioShock is not a love story, but a sad story about passion, and that spoiled fruit it can bear. The citizens of Rapture represent the brightest minds in the world who came together to build a better place, but ruined it with too much industry and freedom to experiment.
Trying to run a respectable theater. I got working folk coming in from Port Neptune trying to catch a little diversion, and all I can think about is the stink coming out of your Careful now. Would you kindly lower that weapon for a minute?
Frankenstein is to his monster as Andrew Ryan is to Rapture. Rapture was a grand experiment with great intentions to solve problems, but it only became a monster. BioShock not only touches on deeper meanings in life, but presents the gutsy whodunit of great film noirs, as you find out your true origins and fighting back against your aggressors. Games should not copycat BioShock, but learn from 2K's masterful storytelling. I'd like to briefly discuss one more quality of games that seems to be used more and more lately: cinematic quality. While this isn't really a genre and more of a trait, games that are able to use this quality greatly are a wonder to play. BioWare's Mass Effect does not have a very original story. Ancient alien race comes to kill everything in the universe. It's actually cliche, but that is kind of the point of the game. But Mass Effect is a wonder. Playing the game feels like living through a great sci-fi flick. Not the Saturday night POS specials on Sci-Fi Channel that look like they took 20 minutes to make, but something well polished. The graphics and movements of characters, the way characters interact together, and how the gamer even interacts with characters feels like a movie. The scope of how big Mass Effect is creates the illusion of actually being able to explore the universe just like the heroes do to stop the rogue alien forces in the movies. I'm not saying that the universe of Mass Effect is the biggest one you'll ever play in games, but it's still very large, and how big this is really helps you focus in on feeling like a hero exploring places that no other person has ever been to. I'd like to cover one more game that incorporates strong cinematic elements, gameplay, and overall presentation. Infinity Ward's Call of Duty 4 contains many scenes that seem to be ripped straight out of Hollywood, placing gamers into the heat of battle. One moment places the gamer charging through a sinking ship, leaping onto the back end of the helicopter as it lifts off, and nearly slipping into the raging waves below. This moment creates an adrenaline-pumping rush without having to make the gamer fire any bullets to get the reaction or feeling. The second moment I would like to briefly cover is, of all things, the opening credits. Typically in games, if there are any credits at the beginning, a quick press of the start button will take care of that, but the character featured in the opening credits is used for that segment only, and is a very neat experience for the gamer. The opening credits give the opportunity to just observe the world, which is one outside of America, and gives a feeling for the tension building in that area. The opening credits create mood that brings a punch to every bullet fired every moment after. COD4 has a great overall presentation. The menu system seems mildly clunky, but when going into the sub-menus like the barracks and so forth, it creates a smooth sailing experience for the multiplayer mode. How they handle the multiplayer mode is also nice with the leveling system. One of the few gripes I have with COD4 is the twitchy cutscenes of the spy satellites. Why would the military invest such expensive equipment if it fizzles out all the time like crazy? I'm not sure, but this strange and very overused method of showing off how apparently crappy our military equipment is has been used in many movies as well as other games. It baffles me as to why people think it needs to be so twitchy.
While there's a lot more to say about these games, especially about what they do best, these games take several hours to beat and even more to get the full experience. And this podcast is only a few minutes long. I at least hope that the points I brought up start you thinking of more examples. I am Art Self of Pixel Pen, and I am out.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.